What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. Now, I hope everybody enjoyed yesterday's fights. They were great fights, very entertaining fights. I know I enjoyed them very much, especially the Evgen Hitrov versus Emmanuel Alim fight. Fucking awesome fight. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about the main event of yesterday, and that was the unification matchup between James DeGale and Badou Jack. Now, it was officially called a draw, and I could see that being the case, you know, being that this fight was a very close fight. It was very competitive as well. I personally had the fight scored 114-112 for James DeGale. You know, I had him winning the first 3 rounds plus the knockdown, 4 points, and then it just kind of went back and forth from there. Some people scored the 11th round for Badou Jack, which would have made it a draw. I just seen James DeGale doing more in that round, which is how I got the 114-112. Otherwise, if you know, I would have scored that round. If I go back, I'll probably end up scoring that round for Jack. It depends, but my initial, you know what I'm saying, my initial thoughts on the fight, I saw Badou Jack winning the 11th round. I mean, James DeGale winning the 11th round. So that's basically what set, you know what I'm saying, what gave me my 114-112 score. Now, I just want to say congratulations to both fighters for a very awesome, competitive, entertaining fight. It was a great fight to watch, and it was definitely what a championship fight looks like. Back and forth action. You don't really know who's winning, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell who's winning. I mean, maybe to some people, but you know, some people might have seen either guy winning clearly. Not me. I was too, how do I say this, excited about the fact that the fight was going down, so you know, I wasn't really being a judge. I was more of being a boxing fan because I was just enjoying the fight. Me and my dad were watching it together, so you know, we had a ball watching that fight. Now, I want to point out a couple things from my breakdown and prediction video that I was talking about. I did say that I felt James DeGale was the superior boxer between the two, that he was the better boxer between the two. I definitely saw that coming up. I definitely saw that showing, you know what I'm saying, saw that in this fight. In the beginning, I told you guys, James DeGale, I'll just kind of point out a few things. Look, I said that Badou Jack sets up a majority of his offense off of that jab. In the very first round, what happened? James DeGale, like I said, should do, stepped on the outside of Badou Jack's lead foot, which got him on the outside of that jab and shot that straight left right down the middle, sending Badou Jack down to the canvas. Alright, so that's I think one of my things that in my prediction video was accurate. Now, and I also talked about Badou Jack's ability to catch and shoot. I honestly feel like the majority of Badou Jack's success in this fight came off of his tight guard, because I told you he keeps that real tight guard, and after catching a few punches on that guard from DeGale, he would hurry up and let his punches fly while James DeGale was still in his range. Textbook catch and shoot, man. Badou Jack is a fucking very excellent fighter, very excellent catch and shoot puncher. So I was really impressed with that by Badou Jack. He was doing a great job in doing that. He was also, what I didn't like about Badou Jack though is his ability to cut off the ring was a little, you know, I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm just saying that it could have been a little bit better. I feel like if he had the, you know, was able to cut the ring off a little bit more successfully, he could have forced James DeGale to fight at his range, and I think that could have been the difference in the fight. Nevertheless, he did do good for what it's worth, you know. That's why this fight was so close, you know what I'm saying? Both guys did very good work. Badou Jack literally punched the teeth out of, you know what I'm saying, knocked James DeGale's fucking teeth out. And there's a lot of like there's a lot of talking about that. And I was watching Thunderdome's video, and he actually made a very good point about the mouthpiece. And I understand this because mouthpieces are form-fitted. You know, I've worn mouthpieces before. If air gets underneath those mouthpieces, it ain't shit for those things to fly out. If you, in James DeGale's tooth, I think he lost, what, like a tooth or 2 teeth maybe? And yeah, air's gonna get right underneath that mouth guard, making it very distracting, very hard to breathe because you have to suck down on that mouth guard to keep it in place. Otherwise, that shit'll get knocked out of your mouth very easily. But never, you know, kind of excluding that, I'm trying to just talk about the fight as a whole here, so I thought I should mention that. Also, what I didn't like about, and this seemed to be the whole night, really, for some reason, Gervonta Davis and fucking Badou Jack had a serious problem with punching out after the bell, man. I'm like, when the fuck is the ref gonna say anything or take a point or something? You know what I'm saying? Because that's fucked up. They were blatantly punching like right after the bell rang. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of them could be considered legal. I mean, fuck, Badou Jack even hit the fucking referee, almost knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised he didn't get a point taken away. But, you know, officiating or, you know, the fucking referees are never really on point in fights. That's one thing I can complain about when it comes to, other than, you know, the boxers, what happens inside of the ring, man. The officiating, the referees, a lot of the times they're on some bullshit, in my opinion. But whatever, it was still a good fight. It was still close regardless, you know what I'm saying? And then I also didn't really like James DeGale's clinching at first, but he after a while, you know what I'm saying, he did a pretty good job. Some of it was smothering his, you know, Badou Jack offense on the inside because he knows he's vulnerable on the inside. That's Badou Jack's wheelhouse. He's going to do the best work there, so he was doing a pretty good job of smothering that offense. But I didn't like when he would full on just kind of grab Badou Jack's arms and kind of his body. You know, I didn't like that at first, but he did a good job with avoiding doing that, you know, over the course of 12 rounds. So can't really say. So those are just a couple of the negative things that I did see about this fight. But a lot of the positives, man, it was back and forth. And the rounds weren't very hard to score. You know what I'm saying? After the first three, it was back. It was Badou Jack, James DeGale, Badou Jack, James DeGale. Both these motherfuckers are some warriors, dude. I'll admit that, man. I give props for Badou Jack getting off the canvas and coming back and making it a good fight. I give major props to James DeGale, man, for showing that fucking warrior spirit. You know, he was getting hit, taking some really good shots, fighting with a seriously bloody mouth, teeth missing, big ass fucking gash underneath his eye. You know what I'm saying? And getting off the canvas at the end of the 12th round, man, and fucking catching Badou Jack at the very end of the 12th round, man, and fucking, it was awesome, dude. It was a great fight. I was very satisfied with this fight. Now let's go ahead and talk about a couple of other things here. So after the fight ended, James DeGale said that there needed to be a rematch. I agree there needs to be a rematch, even though I did see James DeGale pulling this fight, you know, by a very marginally pulled out this fight. I still think a rematch is necessary. I think Badou Jack is very competitive for James DeGale, but there was some controversy in the ring going on. You know, Badou Jack requested the rematch at 175. James DeGale is not a 175 pounder. He's barely a fucking 168 pounder. You know what I'm saying? He weighed in like fucking 3 pounds, 4 pounds underneath the, was it like 164? Or it might have been like 166. But he's weighing underneath the 168 pound, you know, the cutoff limit for 168 pounds. And I don't feel like that fight should take place at 175. Alright, I think that fight needs to happen at 168. Again, unification match. We need to figure out who the best at 168 pounds is. And right now it's, you know, James DeGale, Badou Jack after their draw, and then Gilberto Ramirez. You know, he's another major player at 168 pounds. And we still have the Darrell brothers. They're in the mix too. I wouldn't count them out, you know, completely, even though both James DeGale and Badou Jack have wins over, you know, the Darrells. So not both of them, you know, each fighter beat both of them, but I'm saying out of those two brothers, they have wins over those brothers. You know what I'm saying? Badou Jack's beating Anthony Darrell. James DeGale's beating Andre Darrell. So I feel like the 168 pound division is still very competitive. I would like to see the rematch for sure, but if Badou Jack is serious about going to 175, which I don't think he should, personally, that fucking weight class is stacked full of monsters. I don't necessarily feel he will be very successful. I think maybe his best fight would probably be against like Andre Ward or something. I don't care to see it too much, but I will watch it. You know what I'm saying? I think Andre Ward might even be able to pull out a victory over Badou Jack. It ain't gonna come clean though, I can tell you that much. But besides Andre Ward, if Badou Jack goes up to 175, he is in a shark tank. You got Adonis Stevenson. That would be a pretty good a competitive fight, in my opinion. Sergey Kovalev. I don't think Badou Jack fares very well against Sergey, but nevertheless, it still could be a good fight. Artur Beterbiev. I don't see that fight being very competitive. To be honest with you, it might seem like a competitive matchup on paper, but just seeing how Badou Jack fights, he likes to be in range, and Artur Beterbiev is not a guy you want to be in range with. You got Alexander Gvozdyk. Badou Jack's pretty stationary. Alexander Gvozdyk has probably some of the best movement at 175 pound right now. I think that could be a potential boxing lesson, but you never know. Like I always say, man, you never know until they actually get in the ring. And even this fight in particular, the James DeGale Badou Jack fight, I wasn't very clear cut on who I felt was gonna win. I did pick James DeGale to win the fight, based on his boxing ability and his athleticism. But I did feel like Badou Jack was gonna be a tough motherfucker in there. You know what I'm saying? Especially with his catch, how good he is at catching and shooting punches, man. I mean, he'll take those punches on the arms and then just let go an onslaught, man. And he was catching James DeGale with that a lot. I think James DeGale should have done a little bit more in and out. For some reason, he was starting to stay in the pocket with Badou Jack. I didn't feel like that was very smart. I feel like if he would have been more consistent with his movement, did more of in and out style of fighting, get in there, let off your punches, and hurry up and get the fuck out of there before this guy blocks all your shit and then goes ahead and starts throwing all his punches. Because that's how he catches guys, man. That's how he was, in my opinion, was able to remain so competitive in this fight. And then I liked a lot of different things. Even at some points though, Badou Jack did show some pretty good footwork, man. I saw him dip out to the outside of James DeGale. I mean, and he got off like a nice little right hand or something, but it wasn't it wasn't something he doesn't do all the times, but at least he showed there was a little bit more dimension to his game. He had a little bit of good foot movement when he got into the pocket and he needed to get in an angle on James DeGale. So I like Badou Jack, man. He's a pretty decent fighter. James DeGale, I've always thought he was a good fighter. I still think he is the top man, the top dog at 168 pounds, but you know what I'm saying? This fight was a fucking close one, and Badou Jack is the bigger guy between the two, man, so that really did work into his favor. I think if Badou Jack wasn't as big as he was, we might have had a different fight. You know what I'm saying? I think James DeGale might have been a little bit more effective with his punching power. And fucking James DeGale, like I was saying in my breakdown video, man, he's got that sneaky power, man, that sneaky speed and that sneaky power. Catches you when you least expect it. And I was pretty impressed by James DeGale's combination punching as well. A lot of it, landed on the guard of Badou Jack because he keeps that real tight high guard, when he tucks his elbows and protects his body really well too. So I like Badou Jack's defense, man, but James DeGale, man, he was letting off some nasty combinations, man. And when he would catch Badou Jack, you could tell it phased him a little bit. And obviously he knocked him down once, and then at the end of the 12th round, it looked like he wobbled him with that right hook, but end of the fight, so it wasn't really gonna matter anyway. But overall, man, I am super satisfied with this fight. I feel like yesterday night was a very good way to kick off 2017. Very good matchups, man. Very good fights, entertaining fights. All the three that I was most excited for. Very entertaining fights, man. So as a boxing fan, I am completely satisfied. I hope everyone else is too. But let me know what you guys thought about this fight. Sorry, once again, I apologize for not getting too into detail about it. I probably could have went into a little bit more detail, but I just kind of wanted to focus on the in the ring things that went down. I could talk about more of outside the ring shit, like what Floyd Mayweather was saying, and Badou Jack wanting the fight at 175, and what I'm saying, James DeGale wants it in London. I could talk about those different things, but those things will come You know what I'm saying? In the future, we'll find out more about that in the future. Nothing right, you know, the day after the fight, we're not going to hear too much about what's going to happen next. So I try to keep it in the ring. You know what I'm saying? But let me know what you guys thought about this fight. You know, comment your thoughts. Who'd you think won? Who did you think won the fight? Also, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your boxing homies, introduce somebody to boxing, please. They should not be able to miss fights of this, you know, exciting fights like these. Make sure you get someone introduced, you know what I'm saying, put them on, that way they can enjoy these type of fights as well. But that's all I got for you guys on this one, man. I will talk to you on the next one. Peace.